What is your heaven? Just curious, what simple things in your life make you just overjoyed and content with life? What is the icing on your cake? What simple activity makes you sit back and think, life is great? For me, it's sitting on my patio overlooking the mountains, sitting back in my recliner, lighting a cigar, drinking a beer, and just listening to the sounds around me, no matter what BS I'm going through that day or week. This simple activity makes me feel a total peace and is my heaven. What simple activity washes away your day? What takes you to a different level? What is your heaven? Walking through the door and hearing my 3 kids say Daddy, with big smiles on their faces. 1. Going to my secret camping spot in the Colorado mountains, and having a big campfire, popping open the ice chest and pouring myself a big cocktail under that huge sky. It doesn't get much better than that, except maybe with steaks charring on the grill. 2. Also have to say laying on the beach in Cancun being waited on by the staff while I soak up the sun, and that pure blue ocean has got to be right up there as well. 3. Hanging out in the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas by their new pool with the shark tank and water slide. That has got to be some of the most fun I have ever had. Then retiring to the room for a shower and a change of clothes before we hit the $6.99 prime rib special next door, and land on the baccarat table for the remainder of the night, or maybe end up hooting it up in the sports book if there is Sunday or Monday night football on. Hackjack. I'd have to say going to my cousin's cabin in upstate New York and watching all the snow fall down like a winter wonderland. Then busting out the snowmobiles and tearing up some trails. I don't think I've ever enjoyed something so much. I also think being near the ocean is like heaven too. Not necessarily being on the beach or being in the water. There's just something about driving with the windows down with the salt water air in your lungs and the sun shining. I should also add being near any type of bonfire or inside fire is peaceful, and for those who are musically inclined, there's nothing like playing a guitar-drum combo and jamming with someone else. It's like time stands still. I like my couch, a cozy blanket, green tea by my side, TV sound in the background, smell of newly baked bread or similar, lighted candles, and it need to be dark outside. Cold outside, warm and cozy inside. Christmas time makes this feeling very apparent. I like comfortable living. I like soft stuff. I guess all that risk-taking I do every day calls for a flip side, which is comfort and security and silentness. When I wake up in the morning to find the hubby, still sound asleep, holding my hand. Or when we're both working away on our respective computers, a great song comes on, and we get up at the same time to dance. Polly, lol, slices of perfection. That's very sweet, Kimber, you made me tear up. For me, finding a penny on the ground, I always pick it up, smile and consider it passive income from the universe. Depends on the time. 1 During the summer, I don't think anything can beat a day or week at the beach. It's just an awesome environment. I agree with DJ 100%. 2 After long vacations, or even just on a nice day, when I return home to my neighborhood, just looking around at all of the nice houses and the community I live in makes me genuinely grateful for what I have. 3 When I talk to someone, a friend, or even a complete stranger, and they say something to me that lets me know I've made a difference. That's probably the coolest feeling of all. I don't think I enjoy anything more than bringing someone out of a depressed or gloomy mood. Laughter gets them every time. Heaven is when I am content with me and my place in this world. When I know I accomplished something, helped someone, made a difference. Heaven is when I can't await future to come, because I know it will be good just like past and present. Most of the time this is with my family, sometimes with my friends, seldom within the job. The 15 minutes of every day when my fiancé and I are laying in bed with the lights off, windows open and we're watching bad TV and snuggling. It is such a moment that I never want to go to bed. That's me. I don't have to get in the water. Just set me a chair on the beach. Let me breathe the air and listen to the waves, it works wonders for me. Cool gleamer. Mine almost mimics MJ's. Sitting on the deck with something to drink, cigar if I have it, and having nothing on the schedule for the rest of the day. Something about not having to know I have to do something relaxes me a lot. Haven't been on vacation in a long time, so I'm not sure how I would react to longer than an afternoon. Even better if there is good company to talk on my level too. Does that sound arrogant? I like this thread. I enjoy everyone's responses. Even if my team is losing, I love to play a game of flag football. No matter what is going on, I always have fun. There have been a few times in my life where all worries and cares just didn't seem to be there. It's a tough feeling to explain. One such moment came in an unlikely place. Several hundred miles out in the ocean. My submarine had surfaced and we were topside, just sitting on the non-skid. Separated from our families and the rest of the world. It was the first time any of us had seen the sun in over 2 months. Flying fish in the distance and an ocean so blue you could swear it was a painting. Every one of us desperately trying to get a sunburn on our now pasty white bodies for mere bragging rights. Knowing full well we would regret it later. Breathing fresh oxygen with the smell of cigars all around. Heaven sure is a funny places to show up. Anytime I'm sitting there looking into some open view and just soaking up the world around me. That is what does it for me. Good question. It is a very exciting subject, but there is way too much to get into in a short post. Basically, the ability to turn off the 5 senses and drown out the environment around me. Time, space, emotional situation, and just peer into my mind. This allows me to focus on what I want and thus create my reality accordingly. It is a type of euphoria I find quite exciting, and that is my heaven. Sitting out in my backyard drinking my vanilla and pumpkin pie coffee, watching the sunrise, listening to the wind blow through the leaves of the trees of the woods in my backyard. Watching the lizards run along the chain link fence as the dance and dash for mating rights. The smell of the neighbor's jasmine.a cool crisp breeze of about 15 to 20 knots in my face. Yep, I love my new backyard. Seeing the world through the eyes of my little 3-year-old girl. A little slice of heaven for me is boating or snorkeling. Snorkeling is just about the most zen thing I have discovered so far in life. I love just floating there, with nothing to concentrate on except fish and just the sound of my breathing. There are few things in life more relaxing than this for me. Great answers. Glad to see everyone recognizes heavenly bliss. Keep 'em coming. I am a pilot, so I personally know I am in my worldly heaven. When I am up in the sky above the clouds, I just love it so much. Words can't describe the feeling of being up so high in the sky by yourself, above the beautiful white clouds, and the sun is always shining up there, not matter what weather we have here in Seattle. SMXF. This is a good question. Something nice to think about, can really take a lot of stress off the mind. Probably should revisit this thread a few times a day. Hey. My little heaven is sitting in my living room watching the afternoon sun bounce off the water. I just love the water's reflection on the walls and ceilings and the tranquility that comes with it. And now that she just learned to say it, and when my daughter yells "I love you daddy," it just makes me melt. Wow. Great posts. I've been thinking about this all day. I couldn't pinpoint just one thing. But what I concluded was that all of the following are my happy place, my heaven: late lunch on the mountain after spring skiing all morning. Mid-mountain, so it's not too crowded and not too cold. Enjoying a laugh with my husband and friends, taking in the view, the crisp mountain air, and warming my tummy with a bowl of soup and or a nice cocoa comfort. some Jimmy Buffett playing over the loudspeakers, sun slowly toasting my cheeks. Enjoying a glass of wine and my hubby's perfectly seared on our patio, late in the evening when the flowers are still crazy big and the waterfall is dancing on the pool's surface, but the puppies are getting sleepy, a little Sinatra playing. These solve the world's problems conversations always seem to end up with, "Ah. This is nice. We're blessed. Life is good." Another chair I'm seeing a trend here. In a foreign country where we can sit down with the perfect bottle of wine and watch the world go by, that beach chair in Cannes, that balcony overlooking the Arno in Florence, that cafe overlooking the Danube in Budapest or Vienna, or the Grand Canal in Venice. Sitting high in my close contact saddle, riding flat out as fast as the steed can run with the wind in my hair. A little more exhilarating than my other happy places, but incomparable feeling of freedom. Major adrenaline rush. The other thing that is my heaven is when I find myself having a dream when I'm talking to or laughing with or hugging my late mother whom we lost a couple of years ago to cancer. Sure do hate to wake up from those dreams. Sitting in my boat all alone in the middle of the deserted lake in the middle of the winter, a mug of coffee in one hand and a fishing pole in the other. Also, like several people have said, relaxing on my back porch with a mug of coffee in the morning or a bottle of beer in the evening. When Thanksgiving Day comes because it's a warm feeling with a lot of good food around and pie. Then Christmas comes and that's good because it's cold outside but inside it's warm because of all the family and the food and pie. Lol. Everybody is having a good time. Anytime there are no worries. Or when I sit down in a chair in my friend's front yard in my old neighborhood. There's about 2 to 6 of us and we just enjoy the no chaos. I haven't done that in a while though. I was younger. Sex in a Bugatti, cool gleamer. My idea of heaven is sitting on the bench around the hub at Disneyland looking up at Sleeping Beauty Castle on a Tuesday morning, knowing I don't have to go to work. I'm still working on getting to that point, though. About all I can muster is a Saturday morning at this point. I think the good home is better than the haven, where you can get maximum reliability, ever. Waking up early in the morning on a boat anchored in some backwater cove, and watching the sunrise. You feel like civilization doesn't exist and the world is empty, quiet and pure. Or watching the never-ending night sky out on the ocean. On a moonless still night it can look like you are sailing in space surrounded by stars. Nature's beauty and grandeur humbles all of man's creations and efforts. How is this simple? Sitting on a yacht in the Mediterranean while you have KV helicoptered in is not simple. The purpose of this exercise is to highlight the things of joy that require little or no money, almost a referendum against the notion that money equates to happiness. This is rather self-centered but breaking the tape in a running race. I won frequently in high school but did not appreciate it then. I frequently win my age group but that does not feel the same. In the last few years there was a second and multiple third place finishes. There was a local race today that I had been targeting and thought I might have a chance. Then I pulled a muscle this week. I love to run. I really enjoyed the competition that comes with the challenge. After pouring your guts into many miles with just a short distance to go, it is your mettle against those remaining around you. That is painful, gut-wrenching, barf-inducing. That is my heaven, Coco, Steve. I would have to agree with this part. SMXB. Here's some more little slices of heaven. Playing with my dogs and getting them so tired they just sit there panting and smiling at me. Taking a long shower. Flavored coffee, especially this time of year when all the yummy graham cracker or eggnog or fall flavors come out. Cooking for friends. A glass of wine and some good jazz. Watching a child get a concept for the first time, and how excited they get. Volunteering. Reading a good book on a snowy day in front of a fireplace. Flannel sheets in the winter. A good back rub. BB king with friends on the back porch. Laughing so hard you cry. A good kiss. A phone call to someone in my family. Swimming in a lake. Watching fireworks. Snuggling on the couch. Feeling appreciative. Spontaneous plans with my best friend. Riding my bike and feeling the wind in my hair. Feeling understood. Learning something new. Waking up to my dogs in bed with me, knowing they really shouldn't be there but not happy that they are. This place, and you guys. Living in the moment. Taking in the beauty that can always be found if I stop thinking of yesterday or tomorrow. Today, it is searching for my next knitting project as I guide my son through making pizza dough and visiting or my hubby as he makes pumpkin empanada. Tomorrow, it will be something else, but if I am anchored in the moment, it will be just as heavenly. Ain't that the truth? Happiness is focusing on the joy found in the moment, no matter how big or small that moment may be. Last summer, I had the opportunity to canoe down a river in Maine. It was truly amazing. I remember several instances when the roaring chaos of rapids gave way to a pool of peaceful serenity. Those are the moments that allow us to take a step back and reflect on our own personal insignificance in the world. The knowledge that the great oaks arching overhead have remained for hundreds of years is comforting, but the beer cans and fish hooks floating by the banks provide a harsh jerk back to reality. Soon, the rush of upcoming white water is heard. Before you know it, you're making split-second decisions again, navigating between each and every boulder in the river of life. I like to drive. A simple cruise around mountains, a nice and easy hike, or a long road trip do wonders for me. I also used to get a kick out of drag racing, but I won't do that anymore unless on a track. All in all, I love a nice long cruise equals. Very good one. The Sunday drive is a lost form of relaxing. I used to do that all the time. I would drive back roads trying to get myself lost, just exploring the world. I still do this, lol. I try to make it brief, though, because then my parents get suspicious. They would probably think I'm somewhere doing something I shouldn't be doing, but I think they'd still be pissed if they figured out I was just wasting gas. It's definitely relaxing, though. I really enjoy just listening to music and cruising. Often, I take little detours when I'm driving through my town in order to go through the super nice area. Totally worth it. I totally agree. I know this thread is supposed to be about simple, non-monetary things, but I do believe that letting a Lamborghini roadster unwind along an open road in early autumn would induce feelings of happiness. Especially with today's gas prices. Has anybody but me noticed that gas costs now just over half of what it did in the summer? Yikes. Yeah? It's awesome. I think it's around $2.50 or gallon here these days. That's even lower than it was back in March when I started driving. Good stuff. Back to the top. My heaven is shooting fireworks and hearing and watching other people get joy from it. Shooting anything. I love historical weapons. Nothing like running a clip through an M14 or an M4. K98, 1903s. And Lee Enfields are fantastic rifles. Or firing my grandfather's M1 carbine that he fought in the Philippines with. That rifle has battle scars on it. It's not a pretty rifle anymore, but I love the patina, and it's a piece of history. I also take shameless pleasure from going very fast in European cars. Nothing like hearing the rasp of a Porsche flat 6 as you row through the gears, pure bliss. Or the siren song of a Jaguar I6 as it gets up on its cams and screams to redline. I think the Europeans make the best cars. Truly it is my life before I had to sell my house divorce settlement. I lived in the country, had a 16-run kennel, showed dogs, raised chickens, had a huge garden, and my absolute heaven was when it got cold and I could fire up the coal or wood stove, watching it snow outside. The warm fire burning inside. The house filled the aroma of either baked goods or a roast, truly my heaven. I find a somewhat similar peace now stepping outside and looking at the ocean or sun setting over Catalina. It isn't a farm in the north, but it calms me. So I've recently moved to the surfer's paradise in Queensland, Australia. The beach is across the road from me, and as simple as it sounds, just going to the beach to listen to the waves crash, smell the sea breeze, or just lay on a towel and look up at the stars usually go at night, 'cause I'm a white boy and I burn in 30 seconds of sun. Haha is all I need. The world is really an amazing place, and sometimes if I'm somewhere with a horrible view, I just look up the sky and see my $1,000,000 view. Clear blue sky and fluffy white clouds or even rain clouds just make me realize how lucky we all are. Life and the world around us is incredible, and I'm always grateful for it. The funny thing is that there is so much natural beauty in Australia, but yet I've met plenty of Aussies who go on holiday for months, even years, to see the rest of the world when they got everything in their backyard. SMXB. With that in mind, my heaven is to be like the Aussies I've met who just pick up and travel the world. Tim Ferriss is an American role model for this lifestyle, and I guess I have some experience in the several road trips I've gone on and the study abroad I did in Vienna. The world is full of wonders and there is so much to see. Why wait for heaven when you're already here? Climbing into bed on a freshly washed pair of sheets still warm from the dryer. Sitting in a park with a great friend with a bottle of wine, and wanting to hang on to the moment forever. Knowing that people that truly get you like she gets you are few and far between. The ballpark Frank's man. Smug 2. Roger that. Breaking bread and drinking wine or friends who appreciate you for who you are and vice versa is, for me, one of life's greatest pleasures. Sitting on the beach and taking it all in, the smell of the ocean, the sound of the waves, the heat of the sun, the cool breeze, the beauty of it all, that is heaven for me, as well probably why we got married on the beach, a best of both. Russ H. Can't wait till I'm able to post in here. You can. Nothing should be holding you back. I don't know, I think once I'm actually where I wanna be, then I'll be able to post in here. For now, I can't really think of any time I can sit back and say this is heaven, because I'm still trying to fight my way out of hell at the moment. Lol, I'll reserve a spot in this thread and let everyone know when I've found it though. Haha. There are circumstances in which people can truly be living in misery. But, if you can find your heaven in these circumstances, how much sweeter will it be when you have found more money and time to enjoy it? A milkshake, cruising with the top or windows down, and Kokomo playing on the CD. Cheers. Yes. Along these same lines, it's one of life's sweetest moments when, after making a new friend, you realize that she is just as excited and honored to be your friend as you are to be hers. Discovered a new slice of heaven recently. An outdoor massage on a private terrace, with the sun warming your skin, but a breeze keeping it cool. No nature soundtrack necessary because the waves are really crashing and the birds are really singing. My simple activity is sitting or laying on my favorite couch and reading a good book with a candle lit or playing a few chords on the guitar. I absolutely love this, and it is one of those simple things in life that give me personally great pleasure. Taking a drive in the rain up to some place quiet with a good friend, reclining the seats and just talking about life, watching it rain, tracing random shapes on the fogged up windshield with your toes. Some friends and I would go UFO hunting back in high school. We would pack up the car with lawn chairs, a blanket and a cooler and find a mesa somewhere and just hang out, get scared at any little noise and laugh the whole night. Practicing cooking a meal and having friends over and having it turn out to be everyone's new favorite meal, or having it be the worst tasting thing ever and ordering pizza and everyone having to do shots just to get the taste out of their mouth and laughing so hard you almost wet your pants. Finding obscure poetry books in used bookstores for under $3. Watching a child get a concept for the first time and how their eyes light up with excitement, a random act of kindness with no expectation. Making music. Smug 2, I think I understand you here. However, there is danger in living for tomorrow because then you forget about today. Equals? V equals 3L Woo use plus YouTube. Peaceful warrior bridge slow motion scenorum. Playing a game of hockey. I couldn't agree more. When I was in college I worked 2 jobs, both were in the healthcare field and very emotionally intense, working with Alzheimer's patients and taking care of developmentally disabled adults, many of whom had terminal cancer, and always took more than 12 credit hours. Whenever people would ask how I was doing I would always reply, "Oh, I'm stressed, but I'll be happy when X, Y, Z is over." One day I caught myself saying this and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Living a full life is all about challenges and stress. Those things never go away. I needed to learn to enjoy and appreciate every moment for what it was, because there is never a point in life where everything lines up and complete sustainable zen occurs. I started focusing on the small things. For example, a smile, a hug, a beautiful day, playing with my dog, taking a hot bath. All those little things that I glossed over because I was so focused on waiting for the bigger and happier parts of life to happen and could only be happy then. What a waste. Slow down and take note of what is going right in your life. Find the joy in the little things, because all life is nothing more than a series of little things. You don't have to have money to appreciate all the free things in life. Taking notice of the beauty of nature that surrounds me, especially walking out my front door to the sight of our mountains as the sun rises over them or the sun setting from across the basin and the colors reflected upon them. Having a glass or bottle of wine helps too. A 90-minute in-home massage. Hearing good news, like a medical diagnosis for a loved one that could have gone either way, puts everything else in perspective. I've had the privilege of hearing some of the world's most wonderful musicians. But nothing sounds sweeter to the ear than the words you'd prayed for. I found this thread very interesting as it tells who you are, the real who. Not what you are. Kimberland said, when I wake up in the morning to find the hubby still sound asleep, holding my hand. Yves said, a little slice of heaven for me is boating or snorkeling. Said, climbing into bed on a freshly washed pair of sheets still warm from the dryer. Jill said, hearing good news, like a medical diagnosis for a loved one that could have gone either way. But nothing sounds sweeter to the ear than the words you'd prayed for. Well, I guess I'll start on what's my heaven. A little background: as some of you know, Barbie and I met on Monday morning and were married that Friday afternoon. Yeah, the 5th day. I did not touch her during this time, other than kissing. Had a lot of kissing. As some of you know, I'm kind of a religious guy, such a saint, you hear. Besides, she wouldn't let me, lol. She was 5'3" and weighed in at 118 pounds. I was 5'11" and came in over 2 bills 10 pounds. Almost 100 pounds. More. By this time I was the lead trainer for the gym corporation. Not much fat on me. I state this because you need this physical picture to appreciate what I'm going to share. We flew to Vegas to get married as Carly. Had a 3-day blood test and waiting period. We went to Vegas and were married in 5 minutes. Got a honeymoon suite and never left it until we flew back to LA. It was hot as hell outside and had a lot of other hell as well, but we never saw it. Had everything we wanted in the room. We had not slept a lot during this week, so after, we settled down to get some sleep, and this is my heaven. Barbie had a habit of pointing at something I had and would say, give. It could be my sandwich, Coke, anything I had in my hand, and I would give it to her, no questions asked. I would give her the moon. It didn't matter. We were laying in bed, I was flat on my back and she was beside me. When she said give, she was pointing at my chest. Okay, I said, and she climbed on top of me and straddled my stomach with her legs, placing her head by mine on the pillow, with her face snuggled into my neck and chest. Am I too heavy? Can I stay here? She asks. Stay, I say, you can stay a million years. Heavy. You're not heavy. You're my Barbie. She then kisses and licks the place where my neck meets my chest. She then breathes deeply several times. I ask her why she did that. My eyes overflowed as I pondered this. I had never heard anything like this before. She was a poor sleeper, well until she met me. I'm so exciting to be with. LOL, yeah, I just put women to sleep. Some personality, huh? I take the flat of my hands and I barely touch her skin as I stroke her from her shoulders to the back of her thighs and back up again. If my arms get tired, I rest one and use the other and trade off. She goes right to sleep. I stay awake until I know she's asleep before I go to sleep, and then I hold her, as I ponder what she told me, and I think, heaven isn't no better than this. No, it no better, and I sleep. I've been thinking about this thread a lot as I've had a lot of heaven experiences lately, all just about the simplicity of life. One buddy of mine at softball smokes. And the smell of smoke makes me nostalgic for fun. Anytime I smell cigarette smoke, it makes me think of ballparks, carnivals, poker games, bars, dancing, bowling alleys. All fun times. Weather here has been 80s, driving in the desert, with the top down, no radio, just the hum of a V12 engine behind you and the wind in your face. Pure heaven. 3. Falling asleep in a nap. On my bed on a Sunday afternoon with the soundtrack of an NFL football game in the background, pure heaven. The only negative is knowing the Merkins is kicking my ass that week in fantasy football for standing out in the outfield at softball, all by yourself, just listening to the sounds of laughter, competition, and fun. Every time I remember that I have been given good health, I feel like I'm in heaven. I'm doing it right now. Got the Mac on my lap, sitting on my outside patio watching MNF, smoking a Cuban. This is my week with no kids, so I'm enjoying the peace and quiet. Clicking into fourth gear at 80 miles per hour on the back tire. Alternatively, knee down at 80 miles per hour sitting on the couch with my 3-year-old watching Thomas the Tank Engine after he asks me if I want to watch a movie with him. How can you say no to that? A bottle, or 3, of Italian Amarone with friends talking about politics, sex and religion. Fresh ground French press coffee in the morning with no immediate agenda. 4-mile run with my 11-year-old talking about his Sam Smith nut brown ale at the campfire with friends. Crossing the finish line 2 weeks ago upon completion of the Austin 70.3 Half Ironman. Bump.What's your heaven? Russ H. A few. Standing on the south rim of the Grand Canyon at sunset, at the hour of whispers, where no one speaks because we're all struck dumb at the beauty and the colors, while the scent of burning pinyon pine from the Bright Angel Lodge fills the air. Where all of nature is an open-air cathedral that man or woman could not hope to duplicate, the same place at dawn, where alone I look over the edge of the canyon to see an eagle flying far below me, standing on the deck of a sailing ship at midnight, while the stars above me shine like diamonds up on velvet. And off in the distance lightning flickers in storm clouds and casts thunderbolts at the sea, taking a 2 a.m. watch on that same vessel, learning to pilot using the stars as my guide, and discovering that having faith can be a very tangible thing. Little nephews and nieces with chocolate ice cream smeared on their faces. Success after a string of failures. There are a lot of things that make me happy, but I have noticed that a lot of the things that are purely heavenly moments last for a very short time. I have actually experienced times where I have been thrown into a moment for only a few seconds. A lot of it is through association and thinking back to a moment in time. I have learned ways to do certain things that will throw me into blissful moments by simply pure association. For example, one time when I was madly in love with a girl and the moment I found out she was madly in love with me was a blissful and heavenly moment indeed. But there was a song playing in the room. Every time I hear that song I get thrown back to that moment. When I was younger I used to spend a lot of time at the beach with friends and just hanging out. The smell of suntan lotion and that feeling at the end of the day when you know you got tons of sun. Today the simple smell of suntan lotion or spending all day in the sun can bring me back to those blissful moments. Some other things I find heavenly are when all my kids are playing together and getting along and laughing. I spend a lot of my time breaking up arguments and reprimanding my kids for being mean to each other. I remember one time this summer I was sitting outside in the sun. I could smell coconut suntan lotion. A certain song began to play on my little radio, and my kids were all playing together. No fighting, and they were being fairly quiet. I think I spent all of those 6 minutes sitting there with a smile on my face. I also noticed MJ's post about smelling smoke. I love the smell of cigars. I love going to the fair and catching a whiff of cigar smoke. I even tried to walk through the smoke if they are close by. Love it. Getting together with my buddies for the first tea time of the day and having a nice relaxing round of golf. Returning home after golf and getting a big hug from my daughter. Similar to meditation, I suppose. Actually doing menial tasks tends to center and ground me. Things like cleaning my house, washing the dishes, mucking out my horse's stall renews my spirit like no amount of working at making money does. Go figure. Going for drive, with no particular destination in mind, when there is nice weather. Particularly on a nice night with the windows down. Hiking or walking at the park. Being on the ice with just a hockey stick and puck, preferably with the rink to myself. Although I want the world, I am easily amused and happy with the little things in life. Mine would have to be standing barefoot in the sand in front of a beach bonfire on a clear night. The sounds of the waves crashing, the wind brushing by, the crackling driftwood all soothe my soul. Gazing up into a limitless sea of sparkling stars makes me feel like there's nothing I couldn't accomplish. Maybe one of the lowest points on land be I feel on top of the world those nights. That first hint of spring in the air on a winter day, or that first hint of fall in the summer. Another heaven, getting an email from a Fastlane reader who says his eyes are open to what is possible. I can't describe the feeling of being responsible for a spark to someone's dream. My thought is that a dream that is a dream being lived. A dream that is and life becomes suffering. That is a nice feeling, isn't it? I sell marketing products and I always love hearing from customers saying how I changed their viewpoint on something, or how my products got them to try something new, or how I'm responsible for them doing X, etc. It is a great feeling.